So, shall we resume?
Shall we resume?
Hey, Julia, I don't think the mic is on. Hi, so shall we resume?
Get him. Okay.
Or does staff want more time?
No, we're good.
You're good?
We're good.
Okay.
You can test us. I think we're good.
Oh, no.
Yes.
We just want to hear. No need to test.
What I will do is run through, you have a motion on the table for approval of the resolution, and then I'll list a number of the revisions that I would then, that you've brought up that the maker of the motion and the maker of the second should accept before you take any action or discuss the final one. We'll start with the whereases. So the whereas at the top of page G121, there's a typo in the second line, so that would read just 684 acres of the Baylands. In what is now the fourth whereas on that page, there should be a paragraph break that you would notice because there are actually two whereases on that page. So we haven't got to the substantive ones yet. There was a request from Anya Miller that was provided to add a whereas regarding the Citizens Committee. If the commission desires to include that, the appropriate place would be on page G122, because the whereases are going in chronological order. The appropriate place to recognize that committee would be subsequent to would be after the whereas the draft EIR was circulated for public review, and before the next one, which is the final EIR. That would be the place you would recognize the work that they put in on the review of the draft.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Can we make a motion to do that now, or?
No, let me go through all the changes.
So
and
this
then you
will be another addition to that, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can decide whether to incorporate them or not. After the whereases where it says now therefore, based upon the commission's findings, the date.
Which page number you on?
Rather than at its meeting of July 28th, it would say at its meeting of August 25th.
What page are you on?
G124.
I'm sorry, page 24.
Oh, 24.
At the top.
Okay.
And now we will run through changes in here. In section 2, we would add, let's see, on page, now let's get to this, on page G125, the bullet point under section 3C 2 would be deleted, and that's the bullet point regarding uses in the lagoon. Okay, go ahead. Okay. We would add a section 2J that would include a recommendation that the city council or that the city update Bayland zoning to reflect the updated general plan land use. We would add a section 2K that would say that there would be a general, we would recommend adding a general plan policy. This is a new one. Adding a general plan policy that specific plans shall include a cost revenue study that demonstrates feasibility to the city. That hits the cost revenue study issue that you added. A section 2L that would address the LOS standard that would say request modifying the general plan, the existing general plan LOS standard to be a goal to be achieved, and that the city would require all feasible mitigation at intersections where cumulative conditions would make achievement of that goal impossible. That was the issue. Remember, in some cases, there is sufficient traffic that would be generated in Daly City and San Francisco that would exceed your level of service. In this case, we would say level of service goal. Where that cumulative impact would exceed your level of service goal, you would require whatever mitigation was determined to be feasible, even if it meant not meeting that goal.
Okay.
Can you say that again?
Okay. In those cases where cumulative conditions would exceed your level of service goal, the level of service D, you would require all feasible mitigation, even if it meant that the level of service goal of D could not be met, which is really, in that case, all you can do.
The thing is, that's an open-ended, though. I mean, that can allow any type of development there. That's why I was trying to get with the variance part, because with the variance, you know that it's not going to exceed 1 to 2 million square feet. But with that one, it's an open-ended. Anytime anybody wants to do that.
The problem is you wouldn't, even with your preferred land use plan, you wouldn't comply. So to allow for your own land use program that you're recommending, you need to provide some relief in the general plan.
That's what I was talking about.
And the variance isn't a tool.
But the language that you're suggesting, I think is very open-ended. I don't think that will.
You also have to look at that essential goal and what that policy would be, not in the context of your land use limitation. If you had, for example, as the general plan reads today, you just meet the level of service goal and there's our maximum, then it would be open-ended. Remember that what your general plan recommendation is it sets a maximum square footage increase of 1 to 2 million square feet. So whatever, you would have to be consistent both with that suggested level of service policy, meeting that goal, and if the cumulative does not allow you to do that, you would allow the mitigation, but only up to the amount of development permitted in the general plan, which your recommendation is 1 to 2 million square foot increase.
So can we incorporate that particular sentence in there only?
I mean, we could. I don't think you need to because it's already in the
Because it makes it a lot more clearer to me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And if that's the case, then we don't need any traffic study, because why we would need the traffic study?
Could you be more
Wait,
clear?
wait,
Could
wait.
you say more clearly what I missed? What you said your specific recommendation was?
My specific recommendation was that it should be tied into the prescribed development intensity, which is 1 to 2 million. So any time there is more than that, then again they have to go through this process. It will not meet the general plan. Am I correct?
Let me see if I can come up with wording that
Yeah.
gets where you want to go.
I tend to think
Okay.
that the existing wording is fine because this is only
I like
a
it.
recommendation, so
I
I don't
actually-
think.
No, but the thing is, it has to be tied into the 1 to 2 million, because
But it's,
if you keep it open-ended, that means
it's just a recommendation. If
Well,
the
what
council decides a different density, then they can change your wording, so.
What I'd suggest, and not to wordsmith it here, but your intent, as I understand it, and whether you
Yeah.
agree as a group, is that you want the policy change relative to level of service and to only be in effect for the land use plan that you're
Yes.
recommending.
yes.
And not, if the council wants to do more, essentially they would most likely just change that policy to match what they did. But if that reflects your intent, you're not comfortable with that policy as applying to everything, if that's your intent, we can make the words
Right.
match that, if that's, as a group, is
Do
your
we want
desire.
the group to do that? I don't.
I don't want it, but I don't think it hurts other than being unusual, so I won't stand in the way, but I don't think it's necessary.
I actually like the recommendation, the way it was before. I don't see a need to change it. So, Carolyn, do you see a need to change it?
No.
No? Dave? No. So the majority doesn't see a need to change it.
The other thing there were a number of other issues that were brought up that I just wanted to point out are already addressed in your resolution. In relation to approvals of physical development of the site in relation to assured water supply, there already is a process laid out in this resolution. So remember, you're operating in this resolution at a general plan level, setting the rules that would come later, and that process is in fact laid out. And design and location of, for example, of a water tank is highly dependent on what are the operational characteristics of the actual delivery of water, which would be part of the agreements worked out prior to the time any actual physical development gets laid out. So that concern is already addressed in this resolution.
Yeah.
Basically, what I want to remind you of is how you already thought of these things. So, in terms of the issues related to geotech studies and so on, the issue there is already under state law, you would have to do new geotech studies prior to actual construction grading when you know what buildings go exactly where, what's their size, bulk, and so that would be done actually at a building stage. That is already required by state law. That would also address liquefaction potential, and everything has to be designed to meet the requirements of the building code and its performance standards. So that process is already addressed. I think one of the recommendations you made that should be incorporated into Section 3 is the recommendation related to pile driving noise should apply to the EIR at all densities including yours, so we'd move that forward rather than just relating it to,
So where would you put that?
that would move to,
Which one, the pile driving?
the pile driving.
Just move to mitigation.
Yeah, we would just move that to a mitigation measure for the EIR regardless of development intensity. It would be in the same
All right.
basic subsection that you have the redoing of the mitigation measures.
Regarding that geotechnical recommendation that you had, the reason I wanted to put specific language for geotechnical studies for the entire project area, you're talking about the specific building geotechnical investigation, which is required by the building code, and But what I was looking at that to figure out the distribution of the soils within the project area, that will give us a little better area where to locate what type of buildings.
Okay.
Do you understand that's the big difference there?
So I think the way of handling that, and this was a discussion actually that BBCAG had very early on, which is that as the city takes the geotech studies and soil studies for individual sites, they would require those studies to go outside the boundaries of the specific development site to get the surrounding areas because the soils are
Holistically.
variable. And the other issue that you have, remember, is that the site is going to be graded. And so there will be a soil study that will come along with the grading and plan that would lay out meeting all these requirements of protecting from liquefaction, adequate load-bearing strength, and all of those other issues. So actually what you're asking for would be a normal requirement of the grading plan.
Oh.
So I should have just started there, but I started with the building, sorry. The other issue that came up was on air quality, and in the air quality study, in addition to the regional impact analysis, which is amount of emissions, the EIR also includes what are called localized significance thresholds, as well as a health risk assessment that get at that very localized impact, and it was determined that there were no significant impacts related to that. and you have mitigation measures already in the EIR addressing sea level rise, and that all design of the site shall be designed to accommodate, if I remember right, 100 years or 50 years, I can't remember which, but to accommodate sea level rise, 100-year flood, recognizing sea level rise. There are maps in the EIR based on the estimates set forth by for the Bay Area on sea level rise, and the development would have to take that into account and protect all uses from that. We talked about that one. Oh, and the other one is on the NREL study that demonstrates the feasibility of the renewable energy use itself, because it did not analyze a mix of land uses around it. So I just want to make sure
Okay.
the record is clear there, and I think that's it. Otherwise,
And in
Yep.
addition to clarifying the record, you're also putting in wording, well, I guess it's implicit that a financial analysis has to be done of any,
Fiscal analysis.
that was the fiscal,
Sorry,
that
fiscal
specific
analysis.
plan would
Yes.
include the fiscal analysis,
okay.
and
Great.
John has one more.
Initial analysis of site remediation and its potential to create.
Okay, so the recommendation would then be on the page 27. 2C would say, as part of the process for site remediation, C would read additional analysis of site remediation and the potential to create water quality impacts.
Wording clarification.
Yeah.
So those weren't all in nifty order from beginning to end, but I think we have them all in there.
Yeah, you captured all of mine anyway.
Yeah.
Mine as well. So, do we have anything else to add?
I don't.
So when we receive this back, will we get a red line version of it as well?
No, you'll be approving it by minute action this evening by vote, and we'll, for the record, you'll see what the final action was, but this is the action you're taking tonight is per the vote. Per Lloyd's comments, they'll be reflected in the record as you vote on them.
Yeah, I feel ready to send it off to the
Yes.
city council.
So are we ready to, so we have the motion on the table, now we just vote. Okay, so can we have a voice vote?
You may want to have the maker of the motion and the second accept the revisions.
Who was the second? Who's the
I
maker of
was
the motion?
second, I think.
Who was the maker?
I think Greg
I think it was
or,
Greg, right?
Greg?
And-
Yes.
And then it was Jamil, who
it
seconded?
was Jamil.
Made the motion.
Oh, so it's reverse. So
So it's
Jamil made the motion, so can you make a motion to accept the amendments,
Okay,
to the resolution?
I think motion has already been made, but we can say that we accept the resolution with the modifications as stated.
Okay, and can we have a
I
second?
second.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We
And
did that?
yeah.
It's done?
And before we move on to any other topic here, I really want to acknowledge the fact that there was one group of people that really worked very hard on this particular process, and that's the Krebel group that spent almost 2 years to review all of that. And I think we have included in our resolution, but I still want to make sure that people here as well as at home can see that what efforts they went through, and because of their hard work, we were able to get where we are now. And thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay.
See- Okay, so let me correct that.
I was going to say, it was a lot longer than a year or two.
So with that correction, would you accept that, Ms. Miller?
We accept the citizens. You have to say it.
Yes, accept this.
Okay. So, thank you very much, everyone, for your input and your work on that. Moving on to items initiated by the staff. Do we have any?
There will be another council workshop on September 1st for the Parkside. There'll be a study session for Parkside again. So you're invited to either attend or view it. There'll be a brief staff report summary that's part of their packet, which may be available now or be available tomorrow. And then just on a note, I want to just again thank the commission for their hard work on the Baylands over the past year. You really have gone above and beyond the call, and we do appreciate all your efforts, and I want to thank
We
you for
just
your
wanted
service.
to do it right.
You did a wonderful job, so thank you for your service on that.
Thank you. Thank you, staff.
So,
Couldn't have done it without you.
Yes.
And that includes our consultants.
Yes.
oh, definitely.
Well, I think the most, the thanks go to that group of planners that you had that came up with the amended
Fine.
plan. So on our behalf, can you thank them?
Okay.
And of course, our council, right? So
So we
our
need
council has been
items
invaluable.
initiated by the commission?
I don't have anything. Does anyone
Oh,
have
I
anything?
do.
Okay.
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 So what I'd like to know from the staff is what projects are coming up? Anything? Are we getting close to Recology or,
No, Recology is on hold. We have a few city-initiated items that have been on hold that will move forward, code amendments and other initiatives that the council directed us to undertake. We may or may not have some private applications with the 23 Club and other sort of applications which are not complete yet, but certainly could crop up. You may have a slightly less busy fall than you've had over the past year, so you might have to get used to a slightly slower pace through the end of the
Oh, no.
calendar year
What do
potentially.
we
I hope
do?
that won't be too difficult.
okay.
We do.
And I just want to let you know about my, you asked about my vacation schedule. I will be gone next week, but there is nothing scheduled next week. And then I'll be gone in most of January, but I'm available in October, November, December.
We'll have a good time.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you where I'm going. So.
No,
You'll get jealous.
I'm sure I will.
Okay, so before we conclude, I want to read the appeals process. Anyone may appeal the action of the Planning Commission to the City Council, except where specified otherwise. Appeals shall be filed with the City Clerk not later than 15 calendar days following the Planning Commission's decision. Exceptions to the 15-day filing period include the following. Appeal shall be filed with the City Clerk within 6 calendar days of the Planning Commission's actions for use permits and variances and 10 calendar days for tentative maps and advertising sign applications. An application form and fee is required to make a formal appeal. For additional information, please contact the City Clerk at 415-508-2110. Thank you.
Okay,
So-
adjournment. I make a
Motion, please.
motion to adjourn to the regular meeting of September 8th at 7:30 PM.
Second,
I'll second.
Second, I won't be
all
there.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night. Thank you.